المزيد والصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. إننا نوينا نتعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والدعاء بالهدى والدلالة على الخير والحث والتمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the magnificent bestower of bounties, the truth in all of its manifestations. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send copious and unlimited and eternal blessings and salutations upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, amma ba'd. And we acknowledge that the class that we have, that we're conducting today and we're attending today, is on Aboriginal land, and we pay our respects to the elders past and present. So if we continue on, inshallah azza wa jal, I think it's page 96. So we'll do the Arabic first. قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم. He says, فإن وقعت في ظلم أحد فبادر بالخروج منه بالتمكين من القصاص إن كان من المظالم النفسية. So he says there in the middle of page 96, therefore, if you ever wrong anyone, hasten to emerge from the situation by submitting to the punishment if it is a legal offence. So it's a little bit different in the Arabic. He says that if a person falls into the situation, so it's not that if you're wrong, it's the waqa'ta, that if you fall into it, and we're talking about making a mistake, or in a moment of rage or anger, or ghafla, which is even worse, a moment of neglect, or a moment where a person becomes unconscious of Allah Azza wa Jal. In that circumstance, that a person, and they harm someone's person, nafsiyah, they harm someone's person, then they should submit, he says here, submit to the punishment. So not necessarily punishment when it comes to qisas. Qisas is to do with corporal, in other words, physical damage to a person. And so if there is qisas, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاةٌ, he says qisas is basically subject yourself to the process of determination. So it's not that there may or may not be a punishment, but this is what's called due process. Due process is going through the legal system, going through court, whatever it may be, the mufti, the qadi, the judge, whoever it might be, is making a determination as to guilt. And they're not only making a determination as to guilt, but making a determination as to retribution or compensation. So it's submitting to that process. In other words, not running away and hiding, basically. Not denying that that injustice has occurred. Yeah? Alright, so it could be, and also it could be restitution, which is compensation. So there's three stages in terms of qisas. The first stage is retribution, and retribution is making someone pay, like taking exactly what was taken away. So someone killed someone, then someone also gets killed. That's the first instance. The second instance is restitution, which is compensation. That's what happens in qisas. If somebody kills someone or harms someone, chops off the ear, there's, just like in tort law, there's a value for it. How much is the ear worth? And they pay that person. Someone kills someone, they kill the breadwinner from the family, whatever, then that family has 100 camels depending on the person, etc., or the value of that today. So that the family is actually the victim that allow the victim's family that allow the prosecution to occur or not. In common law and civil law, it's the state that does that. And in the Muslim countries, it's whether the victims want to push ahead and have that corporal punishment done through retribution. In other words, kill that person if they've murdered or not. And only recently, in the criminal courts, they've started doing what they call victim statements, where the victim's family comes in and says, this is the effect of the death of this person in our lives. And then the person, the accused person at that time, who may later be convicted, they have to hear what they said, and it's very difficult. It's very difficult. And some people forgive as well. They say, "I forgive you, whatever you did for my son or daughter, you killed them, whatever went on." And then the second one is restitution. So as we said, they pay a financial penalty, so to speak, compensation. And the last one is forgiveness. So the people can, it's best that Allah says in the Qur'an, if you can forgive, that's the best thing. So it's not necessarily leading to the punishment, but it may lead to the punishment. It may lead to the punishment. And there's the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, that in offences like zina, in adultery and all these types of things, if the person comes to admit, that happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the person said, Ya Rasulullah, I've done adultery, inflict the punishment on me. And the Prophet said, no, maybe you just touched. And he said, no, I've done it, Ya Rasulullah. Maybe you just kissed, maybe you just this, maybe you just that. So it's 4 times. If the person on the 4th one repents and says, no, I didn't do it, then they're free to go. So it's not like it's portrayed or we think it might be. Muslims portray it, that it's like, these rabid people running around the streets and running into people's homes, looking through windows, what's happening. It's not like that. It's not like that. It's so that indecency and lewdness and immorality doesn't spread openly. So the point is to have the 4 witnesses in the case of adultery, is so that it's not 4 people, 4 upright citizens seeing the act itself. It's not going to happen. Very rare. It's happened, like we said, 12 times in 1400 and nearly 1500 years when they've gone through trial in that regard. Unless the person themselves admit. And this whole one about rape, that if a woman gets raped, and what are you talking about? She's been raped. There's no qisas on her. Well, no, it's qisas on the person that did it. What's that? The rape. Well, there's been heaps of stories in the media in the last whatever that women have been raped, Muslim women, they've become pregnant, and then some people have stoned them. And the reason behind it generally is that it's the governance in that area wants to show that I'm bringing back the deen, and they want to get the popular vote. So the easiest people to I suppose to oppress or to scapegoat or to take advantage of are females. And so a woman in that situation, is her family going to stand behind her? Don't forget they're backward places most of the time. They're not even educated in Islam to be educated in anything else. It's just cultural Islam. So they go and then people on the news say, this is what if a woman gets raped. She goes, no, she doesn't. What are you talking about? It's rubbish. If it can't be proven, then that's it. And like we said, she got asked, did you do it? Did you do it? Did you do it? If there's no witnesses, no. She says, no, go. Leave yourself between you and Allah. And the Prophet used to do that, alayhi salatu wasalam. Go. So we need to be aware of these things so that we can respond to these situations. And he says, وَطَلَبْ الْإِحْلَالِ إِنْ كَانَ مِنَ الْمَظَالِمِ الْعُرْضِيَّةِ, and asking to be absolved if it is a matter of honor. So that means the tongue, generally speaking. If a person dishonors another Muslim, as we said, it's whoever does that, when Allah is upset the Prophet of Allah, and then Allah is going to be upset when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So to dishonor a Muslim means that the individual who's dishonored the Muslim has to go to the one who's been dishonored, speak badly about them, whatever, and say, forgive me. I said this and this and this. That's mainly the ones with the tongue in that regard. And he says, وَبِرَدْ مَا أَخَذْتَهُ إِنْ كَانَ مِنَ الْمَظَالِمِ الْمَالِيَّةِ, and returning what you have taken if it is a financial injustice. So maliya meaning things that are material, based on immaterial. So the good old someone who was a bad boy, so to speak, and then the guy made tawbah, and he stole all these things and he did all these things. You got to return them. You can't just make tawbah. That's it. It's all over. Whatever rights of others that a person has taken, if they want to repent to Allah Azza wa Jal, they have to return the rights of the individuals. The rights of the individuals are muqaddasa fi dinina. They're divine rights. Allah has given those individuals those rights. Who is anyone else to trample over those rights? And Allah can't absolve an individual of someone else's rights. So if person A has done injustice to person B, stole their things, whatever it might be, Allah can't say, don't worry person A, I absolve you, because Allah's given that right to person B. So it's only if person B forgives person A. There's no like, I made tawbah to Allah, I'm a good guy now, all the beatings of people that I beat up, and all the things I talked about people, and all the things I stole when I a'udhu billah, and all that. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, bro. It doesn't work that way. Now I drive a C63 and I'm good now, no worries. You know, I gave my money to the mosque and it's all good, brother. No worries. It doesn't work that way. And then when A'udhu Billah, you see the reality. A'udhu Billah, just today someone came and the guy, if you think, you see him, you say, MashaAllah, this guy's a wali of Allah Azza wa Jal. He's got $500,000 he's stolen from the government, from sin. $500,000. When I was told, I was like, what, $500,000? What, $500,000? $500,000 the guy stolen from, but if you see him, you say, this guy's a wali. MashaAllah. And what? When A'udhu Billah Azza wa Jal. When A'udhu Billah, or the sister when A'udhu Billah pregnant, and the guy marries her later. Both of them are as bad as each other when A'udhu Billah. But you don't know. You don't know. So if the tawbah isn't correct, if the repentance to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala isn't correct, in other words, returning. So the guy died. He's got $500,000 of selling money. He's died. What's going to happen? Praise and fast and tahajjud and everything. When A'udhu Billah Azza wa Jal. And yet, $500,000 stashed in someone else's name as well. What the? Unbelievable. It's unbelievable when A'udhu Billah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's fraudulent. Tawbah. What tawbah is that? What tawbah is that? Fraud is one of the worst things that a person can do. As we said, every quality, as the Prophet of Allah ﷺ said, he said, the mu'min, any quality can be attributed to the mu'min except two. Lying, right? Dishonesty and treachery. No, not treacherous, which is the same as lying but worse. This guy's lying on all the belay, his whole life saving $500,000. Like that, whoa, that's like a lot of money. It's 5 and then 5 zeros behind it. It's crazy. It's unbelievable. From where? Where's he getting the money from? From me and you. The government. Where's the money? The government get their money from? From people who work and pay taxes. From GST. That's where the money's coming from. And we, mashallah, alhamdulillah, when a'udhu billah, what tawbah? What tawbah? So, we don't live by truth, we don't live by justice, and then we wonder why we know there's no victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah ya'in. Allah ya'in. It says, وَفِي الْحَدِيثِ مَنْ كَانَتْ عَلَيْهِ لِأَخِيهِ مَظْلِمَةٌ فَلْيَسْتَحِلُّ مِنْهُ قَبْلَ أَنْ يَأْتِي يَوْمٌ لَا دِنَارٌ فِيهِ وَلَا دِرْهَمْ إِنَّمَا هِيَ الْحَسَنَاتُ وَالسَّيِّئَاتُ. It says it is related in the tradition that one who has committed an injustice against his brother should ask him to absolve him of it before a day comes when there shall be neither dinar nor dirham, but only good and evil deeds. So that relates back to the hadith that we read last week about the Prophet of Allah saying that a person will come to Allah with mountains of good deeds, but shatama hada wa sabba hada wa daraba hada. He cursed this person and he swore at that person and told this person off and he hit this person, and then what happens to all these good deeds? The mountains, right? There's people who he oppressed, who did injustice to, come and take him, and then when he runs out of good deeds, they give him their sins until it's a mountain of sins. Mountain of sins when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Until it's a mountain of sins. Because in those days, money, that time when one praises Allah, money is not going to make a difference. No dollars and no cents. Not going to make a difference. The only commodity is good deeds. That's the only commodity, or bad deeds, if it goes into negatives when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, فإن تعذر عليك رد بعض المظالم حتى لم يمكن بحال فعليك بصدق اللجء إلى الله تعالى والافتقار والاضطرار في أن يرضي عنك خصمك وبالإكثار لمن ظلمته من الدعاء والاستغفار. If you find yourself altogether unable to make reparations, which is a great word, for some of your injustices, then seek refuge in God with sincerity urgency, and acknowledgement of your powerlessness. He may get your adversary to accept you. Also pray in abundance and ask for forgiveness for those whom you have wronged. So sometimes it's hard. Sometimes the person, you wronged them and made tawbah later on, can't find the person, don't know where they are. They had a business that a person was embezzling from, whatever, the business closed down, whatever a person spoke about someone, that person's moved away, whatever the case might be, a long time may have passed, can't contact that person, whatever. So in that circumstance, and then a person, and it says that it's not possible at that time. So the person's not absolved. You still got to keep that in mind. So one time one of the brothers was asking one of the mashaykh, he said, I took this much money from this person and that much money from this person. No one knows where they are. No one knows where they are. So I said, you just got to try. And the brother was going to Hajj, mashallah. The brother, he had no idea. So he went to this is 15 years later, he went to the street where the guy lives and he found him standing out the front of the street. He didn't even know where he was. And he said, this happened. And they all forgave him. He goes, I took this money. Another one, same thing, is looking for the shop where he was working at. The shop's gone. The people there, they point him in the direction. They gave him the phone number. He rings them up. Everyone forgave him, mashallah. And other circumstances where they couldn't find the people. And so what the Mashiach said, if you owe $1,000, get $1,000 and give it to charity. Give it to the poorest of people. But you're still not absolved. You're still not absolved. Give $1,000 to charity in the name of the person whom you wronged. If you ever meet that person ever again, then you have to give that $1,000 still to that individual. Okay? If it's $1, $10, $1,000, whatever it might be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you can't find the individual, you got to do that. And if it's a word that an individual spoke, can't find that person, what can you do? You've got to do good deeds, because as we said, as the Prophet said, ﷺ, if a person has good deeds and they've wronged someone, that person takes from their good deeds, or the person that's been wronged gives sins to the person that's wronged them. So rather than having those good deeds taken from one's account, one should prepare good deeds for that individual so they get it in this world, inshallah, and not from that person that's wronged them in the next world, not from the oppressor in the next world. Does that make sense? That's dua, ikthar al-dua, all these types of things. And a person should turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity, seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with sincerity, urgency, and acknowledgement of powerlessness. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may allow your adversary, in other words, the person that you've wronged, to accept you. And there's some athar that say that a person wronged an individual, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to that individual that's been wronged, would you forgive that person if I gave you such and such in Jannah, a house in Jannah, a castle in Jannah, whatever. So Allah Azza wa Jal may, depending on who the person is that's done the wrong, may try and please that other individual that's been wronged by giving them something in Jannah. May happen, may not. It's up to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as we said, increase of dua and istighfar, seeking forgiveness for the individual that one has done wrong to. وَعَلَيْكَ بِالذَّبِّ عَنْ دِمَاءِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وأعراضهم وأموالهم في غيبتهم وحضورهم كما تذب عن نفسك في ذلك كله فإن من نصر مسلما نصره الله ومن خذل مسلما خذله الله. So defend the lives, honor and wealth of Muslims as you defend your own lives, wealth and honor, whether they may be present or not. The one who supports a Muslim will be supported by Allah, by God. And the one who deserts a Muslim, he will be deserted by Him, subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is one of the best things an individual can do. So if someone's talking bad about someone, even if you don't know that person very well, you've got to defend the person that's not there. It's got to be done. And if you don't defend the person that's not there, then when Allah Azza wa Jalla, that's khiyana. And the bookman doesn't have what? It's treachery towards that individual. And two qualities that can't be attributed to a believer are what?
Treachery.
And lie. So That's treacherous. That's treacherous. So at one time, an occurrence occurred, and then they wanted to get one of the imams, and no one was available, so they called me along to this gathering with high-profile people from a high-profile company that all of you have heard of. And so they're talking this and that, and then the name of this other sheikh came up. And these guys, they're not mashayikh, the administrators. And they started slandering him. Yeah, he did this and he did that. And I straight away changed the conversation with the representative. And then later, when the representative of that organisation left, I said to the brothers, I said, if you if I ever hear you again, and the guy is not the best guy, that sheikh they slandered. If I ever again hear you slandering the sheikh, backbiting in front of me, this is a warning this time. If you ever do it again, I don't care who's around. I'm going to disgrace you guys. I'm going to embarrass you guys in front of everyone who's there. And then that's it. After that, alhamdulillah, when I was around anyway, they never ever did it again. That's the type of stance we have to take, whether the mashaykh or whoever it might be. Even if you know that person is not present, isn't the qualities you're saying. It doesn't make a difference. Because that person's not present to defend themselves, and it's riba. And if you're there listening to it, you're a party to the riba. You cop the same sins as the person actually speaking. So it's very important to do that, particularly if two people have a conflict or a disagreement about something. You standing up for that other individual could be a cause for them to reconcile or to resolve the dispute. And what did he say? This is the classic thing. Man khadala. It says al-dhab. It's the prevention, or he says here to defend someone. So it's not just to defend them, it's to prevent that occurring. It's to prevent an injustice occurring to a person, whether they're present or not present. Even though they might be present, you have to stand up for that individual. And even in a circumstance, there's a great teaching they teach when there's racism going on or vilification of a person. You may not be able to stand up, you may not have the strength to stand up to the person vilifying or being a bigot, I suppose, or being oppressive to another. The least you can do is the one who's being oppressed is to comfort them. Are you okay? Are you alright? Anything I can do for you? That's the minimum. That's the minimum. Because sometimes we can't stand up to that individual. There's too many of them, or they're too strong, or we don't feel the confidence, or they might have the weapon, or whatever the case might be. They might even be the authorities. Alright? And then he says, for us to stand up, to defend, to prevent harm coming or injustice coming to someone, then Allah will give us nusrah. Allah will support us. Allah will provide assistance for us. And the one khadal, look at the Arabs, subhanAllah. There's no real word for the meaning of the word khadala. It just means the opposite of nasara. That's what it says in the Qawamis. That's the karama and the shaja'a. That's the courage and the honor that the Arabs used to have. The Arabs before they were Muslims. That's why they used to have wars for 200 years over which camel drank before the other camel, and who sat in order before the other person, and who spoke. That's how it was. All right, it's not good to be like that. Point being was, their honor was so great, they didn't have a word for not helping. They didn't have a word for not supporting. So the definition is the antonym of to give someone victory or to support or to assist someone. That's the definition of the word khadala. Where in that's the first time I've ever come across a word in the Arabic language that says the meaning of it is the antonym or the opposite of the meaning of that word. It shouldn't exist in proper human character and disposition. And if a person does that, then if a person leaves the assistance or deserts an individual, subhanahu wa ta'ala, or abandons a believer in that sense, then Allah will abandon that individual. And what happens to a person who's been abandoned by Allah? Right? It's a la'na almost. They're rejected from the rahmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. They're rejected from the rahmah of Allah. They're not entitled to it anymore. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah leaves them. And we know the story of Sayyidina Dawood. We've mentioned it many times in the class. He said, Ya Allah, just let me in 1 hour. Don't give me your help. 1 hour. Kharab betu, as they say. Saw the bird, saw the woman, sent the general, got him killed. The man came with the goats. We know the story, we've heard. No, we haven't heard it before. We know the story. He said, Sayyidina Dawood said to Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, leave me 1 year. You know, I mean, I'm a king. I know what I'm doing. I'm a prophet. I know how to organise myself. He said, you can't. Leave me 1 month. You can't. 1 week. You can't. Long story short. 1 day. You can't. 1 hour. He said, khalas, 1 hour. Sat in the masjid, in the ma'bad, in the temple, for the last hour. That's it. And then he saw this beautiful bird. Flew in the window and flew out the window. And he went to have a look at it. And what did he see? A beautiful woman when he looked out the window. And he fell in love with it. And then what he did was, her husband was a general. So he sent him on a campaign that 100% he's going to die in that campaign. He died, then he married her. And a little while later, a man came to, because he's the king and he's the Nabi and he's the judge and all these things, he came to Sayyidina Dawood and he said, what do you say about my brother? I've got 1 goat, he's got 99 goats. Sayyidina Dawood had 99 wives and 300 concubines. David, they talk about the Prophet of Allah having wives. David, the King David, that's the Star of David that we see on the Israeli flag, right? David had 99, then 100 wives when he married that one, and 300 concubines. You know what concubines are, don't you? I'll tell you later. Right? And he had 1,000, and then Sayyidina Sulaiman, his son, had 300 wives and 1,000 concubines. 1,000 concubines. But it's the Prophet of Allah saying we had 10, it's too many. Anyone tells you that, straight away tell them that. They just believe in David. Why don't you talk about David and Solomon? It was common back then. King Henry or Arthur, Henry I think had 8 wives as well. That was the tradition back then, that's how they were. So the man came to him, he said, Nabi Dawood, he said, you know, what do you think of my brother? He's got 99 goats, Naja. I've only got 1. And he said, give me that goat. Is that fair? And then said that they would realise. Dhulm. In that sense. In that sense. So, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala leaves a person to their own devices, basically that person's destroyed. Basically, that person's destroyed. That brings us to the first point we were talking about. Whether we take our ego, whether we take our desires and our passions as our guiding light. Our feelings. Yeah, I don't feel like it. What's that got to do with it? What's that got to do with it? That's the nafs. Amara. It orders you to do evil in the worst case scenario. In the best case, after it does something bad, the conscience comes. You know, the angel comes on this side. It's true, that's what happens. The angel comes on this side and the shaitan comes and makes waswasa. Whispers. What do you mean feelings? What do you mean feelings? Your feelings are ilham from Allah. They're an inclination Allah puts in you, your feelings, so you can go to Allah. You're feeling stressed? What? Go to Allah. Feeling anxious? Turn to Allah. Feeling scared? Turn to Allah. You're perturbed? Turn to Allah's calling you. That's your feelings. Your feelings are not to, I don't feel like it. Yaki, no one feels like it. I don't feel like it. I'd rather sit home, watch the NRL. Come on Friday night, the game's on, isn't it? My team's playing. I'd rather, don't worry about eating well. I want to eat pizza and hot dogs, not really, but as an example, right? And why? I don't feel like it. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to work. Who wants to go to work? I don't want to pray. Why should I? I don't feel like, that's not life. That's not life. That's nafs. And when one follows that ego, when one follows those inclinations that don't take one to Allah Azza wa Jal, that's destruction. What a person's saying is, don't worry about Allah, don't worry, hang out, just do what you have to do, and I'll do what I have to do. What are you talking about? That's why he says that powerlessness, acknowledgement of one's powerlessness. Why would one rely on oneself? That's destruction. Oh, I know this. I went there. I saw that. I know these people. I've got this. I heard from that. I'm going to ask these person. They're going to counsel me. They're going to give me advice. They're going to tell me what to do. They're going to guide me. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Following one's desire. That's the easiest way to get into a state of anxiousness and depression. They're the two biggest mental diseases going on, or illnesses, whatever you want to call it. Melees. Anxiousness. People are anxious about the future. They have to take medicine to calm down. And people are fearful, depressed about the past, their life, how it was, what happened to them, the affairs. And they've got to take pills and psychologists and all these things because of that. But the people have iman what? لا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. No depression and no anxiety. None. Because they turn back to Allah Azza wa Jal. So if you want to take somebody's advice, dear sister, dear brother, take the advice of someone who isn't following their desires, who isn't following and is a slave to their, oh, I don't feel like it. Don't feel like it. What don't feel like it? Or you don't feel like eating baked potato. All right, I'm with you. That's all right. Don't eat it. No worries. But I feel like eating something that's haram? No, it doesn't. There's no feeling for it. There's no feeling. Oh, I don't feel like waking up and sleeping after Fajr and after Shuruq Afwan, sleeping for 2 hours. I only sleep for 1 hour. That's all right. That's a different thing. And not in terms of our worship to Allah Azza wa Jal. Not in terms of the way we deal with others. You gave a promise to someone, oh, I don't feel like it. Just send them a message, no, I can't make it. What don't feel like it? This whole don't feel like it, when it's just ittiba' al-hawa, following of one's desires. We have to overcome that to be successful in life. Don't worry about deen, put deen aside for a sec. To be successful in life, if Usain Bolt didn't feel like training, doesn't matter how fast he is. He's not going to be the best ever running. Someone who's a Nobel Prize winner, they don't feel like studying or researching. Never going to make it. Doesn't matter how smart you are. Doesn't matter. Not going to make it. Not going to be successful. If a person doesn't feel like studying, doesn't matter how smart you are. Unless you've got a photographic memory, you're not going to pass. That's the reality. That's the reality of life. And the sooner we accept that reality, and the sooner we embody it in our lives, the more successful we're going to be. And the more successful we're going to be, guess what? The more confident we're going to be iman-wise. And the more iman we have, the less depression and anxiety. So the answer is there for us. The answer is there for us. And the problem is in the answer, and the answer is in the problem. Don't follow your desires. Don't follow your nafs. Don't follow your feelings. Don't follow your emotions in that regard. Alright, someone dies and you feel emotional. If someone dies, is the right emotion to cry and mourn? Yeah or no? Khalas, it's okay then. It's okay then in that scenario, but lose $1 or 10 or 50 or 100 and cry and lament doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. It comes and goes. So in the right reaction to the right circumstance, those feelings are acceptable. But I'm not talking about those feelings. I'm talking about the feelings that are just khawatir. Oh, it happens. I feel like this. It just comes to me and it goes. That's our destruction if we follow those feelings. So that ties up the whole issue that we started off with. Don't follow one's nafs. Stay away from it. Guess what happens on the Day of Judgment? Your soul and your body have a fight. Punishment comes. Someone, not you and not me, inshallah. Someone's done the wrong thing. The body says to Allah, what am I? I'm just without a soul. I can't move. I can't see. I can't hear. I can't speak. Blame the soul. Punish the soul. And the soul says, wait a minute. What am I without the body? I don't have eyes. I don't have ears. I don't have appendages. Punish the body. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, you are like a blind person and a person that is mashlul, paralyzed. The blind person, if they're in an orchard, the blind person can't see the fruit. And the person who's paralyzed can see it but can't go to it to get it. So the blind person, or the person who's paralyzed says to the blind person, listen, carry me, I'll point out the fruit to you because I can see it, and you grab it and we'll eat it together. So both of them, wal-'a'udhu billah, get punished. That's the parable that Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks about. So don't fight it now. Go with it. Go with your soul against your nafs, against your feelings that lead you from away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the justice you'll do to yourself. Any questions about any of those things? Or anything else? That's it.